Unless you've been living on a different planet, you would have heard about AI and the massive progress that it's made over the last 12 months. And this has got a lot of photographers worried that AI is going to do away with photographers altogether. But I want to challenge some of these points by talking about how AI can actually help photographers instead of working against us. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different to the stuff that I normally put out. I want to talk about AI or artificial intelligence because it's been getting a lot of attention lately, particularly with the creation of images. So sites like Midjourney, DALL-E, Playground AI, they're getting a lot of airtime at the moment because of the types of images that they are producing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, these are artificial intelligence sites that you can log on and you can type in the description of a photograph and it will create the photograph for you. And if you look at the quality of the images that it produces, it's really impressive. The photos, they look amazing actually. And this has got a lot of photographers worried because they think that it's going to do away with photography or photographers or just altogether. And by the way, I've added some links to some of these sites in the description of this video. So if you want to check them out, I would encourage you to go and check them out because I think you're going to be hearing a lot more about this. This is only just the beginning, although it's been worked on in the background for a long time. I think it's starting to really come out into the open now. So a lot of people are seeing it and a lot of people are using it. Now, like I said, I would encourage you to go in there and just have a look for yourself what, all the big fuss is about. And initially, I think that if you're like everyone else, you're going to be quite shocked at the detail and the quality of the images. But I'm going to try to encourage you to just to look beyond the images. Look at the actual process itself that it's using to create these images, because for the most part, these images, they're quite random. They're not very exact. And if you don't know how AI creates these images, it basically just looks around the internet, all the content that's available to it from the internet, and it just grabs a little bit of this image and a little bit of that image to then recreate a version of its own. But I would really like for you to think about the process of how we do photography now and how that it would incorporate itself into the way that we do things right now. So, for example, I'd like to challenge you to think of a scene, a photograph, and then try to recreate it using AI. And quite frankly, I don't think that the technology is there just yet, because the level of granularity, the details that you may need to explain to the system in order for it to create those details, I don't think that we're not at that level just yet. And we may get to that level, but I don't think that that we're there yet. And also, when we do get to that point, I think that the technology is going to be quite hard to use. So just think about Photoshop. Now, when it first came out, if you've never seen it, I can tell you that the first version of Photoshop was actually really easy to use. And then you fast forward to today, and really you have to dedicate quite a bit of time to be able to say that you can use Photoshop very well. Most people can't use Photoshop because it becomes this complicated system that only photographers, graphic designers, and photo editors can use. The technology may get there, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as it is right now. And right now, all you can do really is you can type in some things. It'll give you some random images that may look cool and may be good enough for what you need, but it's not going to be exactly what it is that you requested from the system. So it's just something to be aware of. Let's keep it in perspective of what the limitations of the system or the application is at this point. I'm sure it'll get better, but again, let's just keep it into perspective. Now, with all of that, I'd like to say that I've been using it in a way that I think it benefits me. And we can use it in a way that can be beneficial for photographers. And the first one that I'm going to recommend is inspiration. So from time to time, we all get writer's block, or in our case, photographer's block. And these tools are a really good inspiration for ideas and concepts that you can then build up for your own photographs. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. We're going to go into one of these platforms, and I'm going to type in a photorealistic image of a girl riding a Vespa with a cityscape behind her. And we'll just let that run and see what it comes up with. Now, it's giving me some results here, and it's not exactly what I was thinking, but it does give you some its own versions that potentially you could look at those and you can use those for inspiration that you can incorporate into the idea that you've had, right? So I've been using this process now for a while, and I've got about 3 or 4 ideas for some images that I'm going to include in my portfolio. I'm planning to include in my portfolio. And normally the process for coming up with these ideas can take a lot longer. So this is something that I've been using that it definitely speeds up the process. And AI is not just limited to creating images, although that's what most people are talking about. You've got sites like ChatGPT. You might have heard about this. So the best way to describe it is that it's like a robot. So it's like those chat robots that when you go onto websites, sometimes you click on the help or contact us and you get the little robot or the little chatting box. So it is a robot that you can ask it a question and it responds in just plain English. And you ask it questions in just your normal sort of, normal language, and it responds in normal language. Okay, so, and the reason that this is good is because this can also be used for inspiration. So let's log on to ChatGPT and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to go in there and we're going to type, what are some ideas for photographs for beginner photographers? Okay. And as you can see, it's generating a bunch of different options. Okay. These seem to be all like genres. And what we're going to do is we're going to drill down now and we're going to ask it, what are some ideas for street photography for beginner photographers? And now it's giving me some really specific things that I can try out. So these are all really good things that you don't necessarily have to follow them to the letter. It's just to get your brain, turning and coming up with your own ideas. Okay. So, and yes, it's just inspiration. That's all it is, right? So the intention is just to get your brain turning. The second point is that AI can be used as a learning tool. So if you've ever Googled something, for example, and you wanted to know the answer, like say you're Googling something like what is exposure photography? Yeah, so when you do that, Google responds with all these different links and all these different articles, and you may find your answer. You might not find the answer, and sometimes you just need to drill down from link to link or article to article in order to get the answer. So AI, as far as like in the context of ChatGPT, works a little bit different. So I'll give you an example. So let's go into a ChatGPT, and now we're going to type in what is long exposure photography. And as you can see, I've asked it a question in just plain English, and it gives me just a straightforward English answer. So this is another way that you can use it. If you need to know something, it's just so much easier to have it explained to you as if a person was just explaining it to you, rather than have to go in from article to article to try and pick the bits of information that you need. And that's just one example of how you can use ChatGPT in your photography. But there's other things that you can do with it. You can use it to rework the copy on your website, for example, or if you're trying to contact a client, it could help you write a letter to introduce yourself. And again, you shouldn't take the output that it gives you and just copy paste it into something else. You should use that as inspiration to come up with your own ideas. At the end of the day, AI is here to stay, whether you like it or not. So you can, it's up to you really to decide whether you're going to let it work against you, or you are going to take the benefits of it and try and use that to help you. And let's not forget, it's been around for a while. If you look at the face recognition module inside of Lightroom, it uses AI to identify people. And the same thing with the sky replacement tool in Photoshop. It also uses AI. So whether you like it or not, it's here and it's not going to go away. It's going to be up to you how you decide that you want to use it. And another thing to consider is copyright. It's still not clear who owns the copyright to these images. Is it the platform that creates the image, or is it the person that types in the description? So for all we know, these images may not even be able to be used for commercial purposes. So there's still a lot of stuff that needs to get worked out. And even if they do work it out, legislation for something like this could take years. Anyway, I'd be really interested in what your thoughts are about this. I think I've talked about it enough, but I really would like to hear what you think about this and what's your reaction to it. So make sure that you leave them in the comment section below. And while you're at it, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like to support me. If you could click the like button and just consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you've got any questions, please make sure that you leave them in the comment section below. That's the best place to get in touch with me. Otherwise, you can't reach me through the normal, usual social media platforms, and you're going to find all the links in the description below. Look, I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.